questions? Come on, the Shroud's a mysterious object. I wish I had some questions. Yes.
Where's the Shroud stored? Where's it kept?
It's in St. John the Baptist Cathedral in Turin, Italy. And Turin is about 350 miles northwest of Rome, near the French border. And it used to have a separate chapel, but that caught fire in 1997, and they moved it to the main chapel, or the main part of the cathedral, and it's been there ever since.
Is it hanging?
No, it's not exposed. It's temperature controlled. It's in a container and stuff. It's usually only shown like 3 to 5 times a century. The last time it was shown was 2010. The next time will be 2025. I saw it in 1998 and 2000, and I'm sure I'm not going to see it in 2025 because I'm going to be too darn old at that point. Somebody else had a hand when I saw it.
So in 1978, they did the carbon dating?
No, in 78 they did a non-destructive testing, 5 days around the clock. But at the time, in 78, to do a carbon dating, they would have needed a handkerchief size piece, and that was too big. In the interim, they invented a new method that you could use like a postage stamp within 10 years. So they did that in 1988. And originally, they were supposed to give the STIRP team, 2 weeks around the clock to do additional tests. And there was a lot of backstabbing and politics and stuff in the carbon dating lab said, no, we don't want those other tests, we just want the carbon-14. And somehow they made their case. Even though Cardinal Ratzinger, who's the current Pope, okayed the protocol for STIRP to work two weeks around the clock doing other tests with the carbon-14. Somebody went over his head. There's going to be a documentary coming out in October, an Italian documentary that they've overdubbed into English called The Night of the Shroud. And they've discovered a lot of the backstabbing and politics. I'm really looking forward to that. I know a lot of it anyway, but I'm really looking forward to that coming out. It's going to be on home video. It will show how nasty things got and how unscientific things got.
This is such a personal narrative for you, experience as you read your opening part of the book. I was wondering if you could give a summary of how your book progresses and how it concludes. Because I do know, I remember that you hosted the Shroud conference you helped organize here a few years back.
Sure. Well, I continued to go to any conferences that were available, and after the carbon-14 in '88, everybody wondered, how could it be medieval? There's just so much evidence that it's real. So around 2000, my wife and I were starting to do research, and we knew that nobody would really pay attention too much to the Shroud unless we could figure out what went wrong with that carbon-14. And she got an insight, I'll just call it that. If you want to ask me more about that, I can tell you. She got an insight that the area that they took the sample from was rewoven. So I started going back through all my materials since I got such a great collection. And boy, I started finding a lot of stuff that really suggested that area might have been rewoven. So we presented a paper in Orvieto, Italy in 2001, another one of the conferences we went to. And Barry Schwartz, who does Shroud.com and was the documenting photographer for STIRP, put it on his website, and Ray Rogers, the chemist who was mentioned at one point, from what I read, was good friends with Barry, and he called Barry up, and he was upset with Barry for putting it on the website because we weren't scientists, and Barry said, Ray said, what the hell are you putting up there? It was actually a lot stronger But Rogers, make a long story short, thought he was going to, he says, I can prove him wrong in 5 minutes, I've got samples. So he took out his samples, started looking, he called Barry back in about 2 hours and kind of sheepishly said, I think they're right. So that kind of really re-stimulated the whole question in the media and stuff. And then Rogers wrote a peer-reviewed scientific article in Thermochemica Acta, which is like the highest level chemistry journal in the world, saying that that area was not representative of the main cloth. So, and of course, they printed that on the back page. You know, when they said it was a fake, it was front page news. When he proved it wasn't, you know, it was back on the back page of the food section. You know, so we did a few more papers, went to a few more conferences, and then my wife and I organized a conference that we held at the Blackwell here in August 2008, and we presented some updates on our work and stuff, and people came from all over the world. The guy that I asked to do the opening address came all the way from Australia and flew 30 hours to get here. He was in his 70s, so he's no spring chicken. It was a great conference. It's all the talks are online. You can hear some of those. I really recommend that talk. I can give you the guy's name. And then the Discovery Channel got interested in the whole theory, and then called us up in the fall of '08 and wanted to come out to film us. And we had to delay it because then, if you remember, what was it, Hurricane Ike, I think, that had those high winds and everybody lost electricity. I was like out 8 days. Remember that well. So it was delayed, but they filmed us, and they broadcasted it a few days before Christmas, December, Christmas 2008, and it was very well done. Very well done documentary. A lot of Shroud documentaries are just pretty poor because they have agendas and they make you say what you didn't say. You know, they chop things out and everything. But it was really well done. And then everything was looking great. I was feeling so good at Christmas 2008. The documentary had come out. You know, my wife and I had done all this research and we were planning to continue. And then in January, the next month, Sue had been diagnosed with cancer back in 2005, but we thought she had beaten it. And she didn't do the traditional route because she had survived childhood cancer, so she tried alternative, and we thought it was working. And in January, she started feeling bad, and we couldn't get in to see a doctor until like March 22nd. And then once she saw him, he was very concerned and admitted her to the hospital right away. And within about 3 weeks, she died. So I of course, have continued my Shroud research. I'm on an internet group they're called the Shroud Science Group. There's about 130 researchers, so we exchange, you know, emails and ideas and thoughts and stuff. There's a Shroud conference in Valencia, Spain, in the next week or two, which unfortunately I won't be able to go to. So from here, the authorities in turn are talking about possibly allowing new testing, which would be very exciting. It's been something that I have kept up to the minute on since 1977, and of course will continue to do so. That's a kind of a quick synopsis. Yes.
Is there a certain theory or line of questioning that people are going to clamor to test first? They get that test?
Well, yeah, that carbon dating is a real problem. I mean, some people are saying, well, let's do another carbon-14. And people on the other side are saying, but if we're not 100% sure what caused the problem, because they haven't let us retest it fully, even though Rogers did the work and had other people back it up with the samples, they haven't looked at the cloth again. Other people are saying, well, you might get the same result again if you do another carbon 14. So we need to do other tests. So I would hope to see the multidisciplinary tests like they had planned in '88 when they were supposed to do 2 weeks around. You know, obviously everyone here knows how much technology has advanced in just 5 years. You can imagine what it's going to be like from '78 to 2012. I mean, just quantum leaps. They'd be able to do all sorts of stuff. And I think they're even starting to kind of come up with other dating methods that, because carbon 14, people, it drives me crazy because the public has this perception that, you know, C14 is infallible and it's never wrong. It's just, it's wrong a lot of the time. And archaeologists often throw it out. They usually try to get other means of dating something, and they use the C14 as a confirmatory. And if that matches with the data, then they say, okay, we're pretty sure the dating is firm. If it doesn't match the other methods of dating, they throw the carbon 14 out without batting an eye. But everybody go, oh, you know, they threw out 110 years of hard scientific data on the Shroud and said, oh, the carbon 14 couldn't be wrong. Nonsense. It was just absolute nonsense. And the Shroud is probably the most, in terms of number of hours spent, is probably the most intensely studied artifact in human history. If it's not the top one, it's certainly in the top 2 or 3. And the hundreds, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's more, millions of hours have been spent, both by, you know, the scientists that studied it and all sorts of other researchers and documentaries. So we'll have to see. I'm hopeful that that new testing will be able to be done in the next few years, and that they get some smart people in there this time that organize it real well and are able to find out not only the dating but some of the other image formation questions. Because nobody still could explain how that image got there. I mean, the image is only on the top several thousandths of an inch of the fibers. Nobody can paint it that way. If you get closer than 6 feet, you can't even see the image, which means that if an artist did it, he probably would have had a 6-foot paintbrush so he could see what he was doing. You know, the whole artist theory is just ridiculous when you take the time to look at it. Any other questions? I'm happy to stay a few minutes longer if anybody wants to chat afterwards.
Thank you.